Meet Siren Head. You've probably seen him kicking around the internet before. He has become relatively well known despite being a fairly recent creation. Might be hard to believe it, but Siren Head didn't exist 2 years ago. Yeah, he was created on August 8th, 2018, or at least that is when his creator, Canadian artist Trevor Henderson, first shared him with the internet. Now, Henderson is a treasure. For the last few years, he's been creating unnerving images which blend his drawn monsters with real-life photographs. The style, which so far as I can tell was invented by Henderson, or at least he was the first to popularize it, has been described as similar to found footage. I first became aware of Henderson's art through my brother, who found Henderson's art on Instagram. Along with the pictures, Henderson includes little snippets of dialogue or explanation supposedly from whoever took the picture. For example, I love Henderson's art. It's extremely creative and genuinely unnerving. I will admit I enjoyed it a little more when Henderson's art wasn't quite so mainstream, but despite that, I'm very happy for Henderson that his work is being recognized. It deserves to be seen. Here's a quick little montage of some of my favorite pieces he's done. But getting back to Siren Head, arguably his most popular creation to date, Henderson made this post on his Twitter and Tumblr featuring an awesome pic of our tall friend with this caption. She was on vacation with her husband and they were scoping out graveyards on the way, as you do, when she saw it. Rising out of the old cemetery, big as an old macabre telephone pole. Was this some kind of bizarre art piece the authorities hadn't gotten wise to yet? Even as she stepped out of the car, the megaphone on its head screeched to life. 9, 18, 1, child, 17, remove, vial. A buzzing, doubled voice screamed random words at her. At this point, it jerked into motion, striding down the hill towards her. I doubt that when Trev uploaded this pic, he would have thought that he had just created an icon. And an icon it became. On the 31st of October 2018, Halloween Day, an indie game developer called Mythos Interactive published a short horror game called Siren Head for Windows and Mac. It's a very basic game with only a handful of controls and a short runtime, just a couple of minutes. But what it lacks in longevity, it makes up for in atmosphere. It's done in the style of an old PlayStation 1 game, meaning the graphics are intentionally low quality to evoke a kind of nostalgic feeling in the player. In the game, you play a forest ranger searching for a missing hiker when you come across the titular Siren Head, who you must run away from to win, or face certain doom via eardrum overstimulation. A truly horrible fate indeed. Now, I knew about this game beforehand, but while researching this video, I also found out about another game based on the Siren Head character that came out in the following month called Siren Head 1995. Whereas the first game was first person, this is a side scroller, and you play as a hiker searching for his missing friend in the Arizona wilderness. These two games help to further popularize the Siren Head character. You know, generally I'm not a huge fan of Let's Players, but if there's one thing they're good for, it's bringing relatively small titles into the spotlight. Siren Head was no exception. So, good job, guys. You did good. From here, Siren Head continued to gain more and more popularity, subsequently drawing attention to the rest of Henderson's art in the process. He's even got his own page on villains and supernatural fan and wikis. Now, there's a lot of information on Siren Head in the aforementioned wikis, but I'm not sure how much of it Henderson himself wrote and how much of it was written by fans. This might be a case similar to Slenderman, where when Slenderman first started gaining popularity, his trademark characteristics were kind of developed over time and evolved. Certain features were dropped and others were introduced. Speaking of Slenderman, he bears a lot of similarities to Siren Head when you think about it. For example, both primarily relegate themselves to rural areas such as small towns and forests, as well as their shared interest in abducting children. Although Siren Head doesn't just limit himself to the young and vulnerable, he isn't ageist like Slenderman over here. Everyone's fair game. One more thing I want to talk about before we close off this video is Siren Head's brief stint as an SCP. That's right, someone, specifically a user called Lord Crunchy, tried to incorporate the character into the secure, contain, protect universe. He wrote an entry and everything, but it was rejected because Siren Head is a licensed property of Trevor Henderson. Sorry, Crunchy, maybe next time. Frankly, I'm glad with this outcome. Siren Head already belongs to a universe, that being the Trevor Henderson Mythos. Yes, that's right, the Trevor Henderson Mythos. Might want to work on that title, guys. Alright, so that's been my write-up on Siren Head. Probably one of the cooler internet monsters to come out in recent years. He's got a cool-ass look to him. Trev Henderson created something really awesome, and it deserves all the recognition it gets. In fact, all of his art is really great. It sucks when I see people sharing it without giving credit. In fact, there was a time on the Backroom subreddit where people were passing off his art as their own original creations. Point is, folks were stealing Henderson's stuff, and that just ain't okay. Luckily, the mods put a stop to that thievery. I want to finish off this video by thanking you for watching. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you want. That'd be nice too. Other than that though, you have a blessed day, and remember, God is watching. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I'll leave it up to you. Have a good night, everybody.